Hey guys, you're watching The Crypto Future. My name is Teddy, and today I want to talk about the Shibnobi Shinja Certik Audit and the four major issues. I recently attended the Shinja AMA, especially tonight I attended it. It was reviewed yesterday as well, and tonight I think the way that Cliff presented the Certik Audit was very nice, and I just want to review the assessment with you guys and really dive into it because everyone talks about those four major issues, and I think today Cliff really nailed it on the head. He addressed all four issues, and it really gives you a deep insight on what those four issues were, what they mean, and why it's not really a big issue and what he's doing as they go forward. And I loved it. There were other things in the AMA that he talked about, including the Shibnobi coin, how the blockchain works, the Kusari blockchain, and how liquidity works once they make that Shibnobi coin. But today in this video, we'll talk about the Certik Audit. So let's get into it. All right, so right here we have the Certik Code Security Assessment Shibnobi Inu Audit. So this is December 30th, 2021. Not too long ago, right? It's been a month about, a little over. So I'm gonna scroll down here to right where they talk about the 22 total issues, the findings, right? So the first major finding is the centralization risk global O2 that you see right here. The second major finding is the possible to regain ownership after renouncing or transferring ownership. The third major security risk is the token minted to centralized address. And the fourth one is a centralized risk in ad liquidity. So Cliff does talk about all of these, and I just want to go through the recording with you guys so you also see the exact thing that's being discussed here. So global O2. So right here, centralization risk. It's in the contract ownable to the role owner, the authority over the following function: renounce ownership, transfer ownership, and locked. So Cliff talks about this real good evaluation or recommendation from what they said, and Cliff addresses it.
People don't quite understand, and it makes sense after you hear Cliff break it down. So what else, Cliff?
So the next major was says it says that the previous owner is possible to regain ownership of the contract even if it is called function renounce ownership. It's kind of a moot point because so basically they're saying that they would have recommended changing the code a little bit so that I think the recommendation here says we advise the client to fix a typo and set the correct name get unlocked time for the specific function. So instead of, there was a typo in it basically. So when we made the contract, it says GE unlock time instead of get. The code in the function is still the same. They were recommending changing the time. That was one thing, but then the major part of it was that the even after you call renounce ownership, basically you can regain ownership of the contract by going through a specific procedure. But it really doesn't matter because we're not renouncing ownership. You know, we've stated this many times, because if we renounce ownership, you know, we're going to have problems getting on exchanges, because for one example is every exchange requires you to whitelist wallets, their wallets. So when you're transferring the tokens to them, and when people transfer out of their wallets back into some other wallet, you know, if you go back to Trust Wallet or things like that, you know, you have to whitelist their wallets to do that. If you renounce ownership, you can't do that. So it's really not recommended if you're planning to have grow your project and really get on a bunch of exchanges and do things. On top of that, other things that we have done, like change the taxes. Like we've given discounts, and then right now we're giving 5% reflections instead of our normal 3%, so that holders are getting a bigger amount of reflections for the month of February. We couldn't do any of that stuff because if it was renounced, we couldn't make any of those changes. We've had scammers that have come into our community and tried to scam people, and they put wallet addresses out there and said, okay, send X amount of Shinja tokens to this wallet address and we're going to send you back double the amount. Well, every time we find those, we blacklist those wallets so that anybody, even if they got scammed, at least they won't be able to sell those tokens off. So we blacklisted those wallets. Same thing, when we did have the 3 private presale members that didn't follow the rules, we blacklisted their wallets and burned the rest of their tokens. We wouldn't have been able to blacklist any of those wallets if we would have renounced ownership. So even though they're saying there was a mistake in the way that the renounce ownership function is, it doesn't matter because we're not renouncing ownership. So that's the other major
number. So we did Global 02. Next we'll look at SSI 01. SSI 01. So go there. So SSI 01, logical issue, shibnobi .sol. So an SOL file is a Solidity file, and the 462 to 495 are the lines of code that they are addressing. And they said the previous owner is possible to regain ownership of the contract even if he has already called function renounce ownership or transfer ownership. This can be achieved by performing the following operations. So they give a breakdown on what can be done, and they give them a solution for the error unlock function and change it to this. So fine, good job.
I don't know, they say, again, in a lot of these with the major, the recommendation was you could time lock the wallet for 48 hours so that any changes for privileged operations can't be made. You have to wait 48 hours to make them. But I don't know, to me that just seems a little silly. So basically it says, okay, so every 2 days you're going to relock the wallet so that you can't, the owner wallet, so that you can't make changes to it without 48-hour notice. But that's just a major pain, because all you're saying is that, be safe, don't give out your keys, and if it did, well, it's locked for 2 days, and then it's going to unlock, and then it'd be a battle for whoever has the seed phrase or private key to basically who gets there first, whether you get there first to change it, or they get in there and take stuff out of it. So to me, locking it for 48 hours is like, I don't know. It's kind of worthless. The key is don't ever give your private key or your seed phrase out, which nobody should ever do. So that was the one major.
Now, the recommendations, right? They list them at major. They put that in their risk as, hey, this could be an issue. And Cliff says, yeah, this could be, but this is why this is what he's done and why it won't happen, right? So next one is SSI 07. We'll go there. So SSI 07 is the amount of _T total tokens that are minted to the centralized address, message.sender, and who is owner. May raise the community's concerns about the centralization issue. So these really talking about the wallets here, and this is line 771. And their recommendation is, we advise the client to carefully manage the owner account's private key and any potential risks of being hacked. So this is just a regular risk that every coin should have, but in this, I guess Cliff is very trustworthy, and he is just gonna be super careful about who he shares those keys with. So That's what he's doing, and the status is acknowledged, so they are aware.
So the one major basically says that the marketing wallet is converted to ETH, which it is, and that basically it says that any compromise to previous owner, or marketing wallet accounts can allow a hacker to manipulate the project manipulate the project because of that. Well, yeah, obviously, so it's the recommendation is that you make sure that you avoid the private keys or getting out so that it can't get hacked and things, basically. So, which obviously is for any wallet. Anybody that has a wallet, you're gonna not give your keys out and not let anybody have access to it, because it could drastically affect the project, because it's obviously there's a large amount of money in the marketing wallet. But
and then let's see, and the last one is SSI 12. Let's go here. So SSI 12 is the add liquidity function, calls Uniswap v2 router add liquidity ETH function with the to address specified as owner for acquiring LP tokens from Shibnobi ETH pool. As a result, over time, the owner address will accumulate significant portion of LP tokens. If the owner is an EOA, externally owned account, mishandling of its private key can have devastating consequences to the project as a whole. So very similar to the other SSI risk, right? So saying recommendation, we advise the to address of the Uniswap add liquidity ETH function to call be replaced by the contract itself. So instead of add liquidity ETH, I guess they want to use address this, so it goes to the existing liquidity and restrict the management of LP tokens within the scope of the contract's business logic. So they ain't recommending using a liquidity pool, and the reason they bring this up is I believe they talk about how with this privilege they can give us like reflections and up them to 5% and do stuff like that. But I may be wrong. Oh, you know what this was? It was not that. In Cliff's statement, he talks about how he has to add liquidity and lock it every time they get more liquidity, and that's just what he's been doing. And you can actually go to this wallet address that they talk about, and you can see that he literally, the owner wallet, locks liquidity, and it is something that's being done. Yeah, brain fart there. I was just like, what was this one? But yes, this is something that they have addressed, and now it sounds good to me.
So the other major item was it's in the add liquidity function. So just as part of the taxes, we have a portion of that goes to adding liquidity to the contract. So what Certik pointed out was that the add liquidity function, it basically currently uses the Uniswap v2 router .add liquidity ETH function. They would have recommended replacing that with the address, it's the contract address itself, which would have been address and in parentheses this. Basically, what they're saying is that if we would have done that, it would have put the LP tokens directly into the contract versus where it goes to the owner wallet today. And that's why every 3 or 4 days, I constantly lock away more liquidity. So I'm always going in and creating new locks. So I agree that probably that was an oversight, and it probably would have been, well, it definitely would have been easier, because then I wouldn't have had to have been going every 3 or 4 days and creating new locks. But unfortunately, that's not anything that we can change at this point without redeploying the entire contract and airdropping 55,000 holders on Ethereum, which that cost would be astronomical. So it's not anything we can fix or change at this time. I just have to keep doing what I've been doing and just keep locking it away as it accumulates. And if you go into Trust Swap, you can see all the locks that I've created. I keep creating because we keep locking away more, the additional created liquidity. So that was the other item.
Thank you very much. That answers everything I need to know.
Yeah, I mean, like all four major issues have been talked about by the developer, and I'm feeling just as well as I was feeling the first time I got into Shinja. As I said, I'm in both Shinja, I'm in Saitama, I'm in a lot of things. I've now got a zombie Inu, Phoenix V2. As soon as I get profits, you know what I do. So yes, guys, this is the PDF. Now I'm gonna, as you're following along, you know what Cliff has said. So he's addressed all four issues. We've gotten to the end here. So if you like this type of content, I appreciate if you can like and subscribe. And if you comment down below, I do respond to every single comment. So it may take me a while to get there. I am traveling on Friday. I got that negative COVID test, so I am going to India. I will be meeting people there. I'm also going for a wedding. So very, very good things in the future for me as well. But yes, thanks for watching. Until next time.